Hello and welcome to On Leading with Greatness. I'm Jim Salvucci. This week's installment, Pushing Power Out, the Great Leader's Force Multiplier. Power is no blessing in itself because private men bear less envy and trouble and anguish without it. But when it is employed to protect the innocent, to relieve the oppressed, and to punish the oppressor, then it becomes a great blessing. Jonathan Swift on Mutual Subjection. One aspect of leadership that rarely gets its full due is its integral relationship to power. The pursuit of power, as with its counterparts, wealth and fame, can be corrupting, but not necessarily so. While power offers myriad opportunities for abuse, it also presents positive possibilities. Pursuing it for its own sake, though, is inherently corrupt. We can think of power working in two directions, pulling inward and pushing outward. Most people we deem powerful draw power in, gathering it for themselves. Paradoxically, the more they have, the more they want. In fact, their desire for power morphs into an unslakable thirst. Moreover, as these powerful individuals pull more power in, they strip others of their power. Such unidirectionality, then, renders power a finite resource. The more there is here, the less there is there, thus creating a destructive imbalance. We see this inward draw of power clearly in the upper echelons of government, where ego, petty rivalries, and the symbols and other trappings of power drive individual choices and behaviors. The larger the ego and the shallower the personality, the more likely such government bosses are to become voracious whirlpools, sucking in power without end. Not surprisingly, many a needless war has started because of this dependency on personal power. And as I've argued elsewhere, such a need is, paradoxically, a sign of true weakness as well as a source of suffering, according to the Buddhists and the Stoics alike. In the workplace, we witness similar dynamics. The all-powerful boss may wallow in ignorance, revel in brutality, and utterly lack empathy, while stripping his underlings of any chance to rise. This power hoarding is not some mere abstraction. In fact, it's a common topic of noxious advice books dating back to at least Machiavelli. One of the most popular books on power is Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. While many of Greene's laws reflect practical wisdom, Law 1, never outshine the master. Law 4, always say less than is necessary. Many more, even most, strike me as outright pernicious. Law 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Law 33, discover each man's thumbscrew. I'll admit up front that years ago I started reading the 48 Laws closely, but had to stop after Law 15, crush your enemy totally. While good practical advice for a certain type of person, my skin was crawling by then. Maybe I'm just too soft to buy into such nastiness. Then again, I can't imagine anything softer than the constant deception, duplicity, and self-abasement Greene advocates. Law 14, pose as a friend, work as a spy. Law 24, play the perfect courtier. Or my favorite, Law 38, think as you like, but behave like others. Yuck. Encountering the 48 laws of power may leave you with the impression that power is nothing more than a zero-sum game that consists mostly of playing certain roles, destroying enemies, and oppressing everyone else. But like workplace politics, power has a bright side too, and that's where leadership comes in. Simply put, true leaders keep the lust for personal power in check while seeking ways to redistribute power and, get this, regenerate power. That's right. While power for power's sake, drawing power inward, is finite, power for the general good, pushing power outward, is regenerative and therefore infinite. Let's revisit the Swift quote at the head of this essay. Swift was an Anglican cleric, and this passage comes from his sermon entitled On Mutual Subjection, which starts with its own epigraph from 1 Peter. All of you be subject to one another. Rarely has the leader's call to collaborative service been expressed so succinctly. Swift suggests that power is not inherently virtuous. It only becomes so when the powerful use their power to protect the innocent, to relieve the oppressed, and to punish the oppressor. Sure sounds like a leader to me. For what sort of leader doesn't come to the aid of others in the cause of greater good? Earlier in the sermon, Swift condemns the individual who hoards power and ability because he takes his share of the profit and yet leaves his share of the burden to be borne by others, which is the true principal cause of most miseries and misfortunes in life. Sure sounds like a crappy boss to me. The crappy boss has little interest in mutual benefit, so they wield egocentric power as a means of self-aggrandizement and oppression. I've been a student of Swift's writing my entire adult life. In fact, I wrote my dissertation on his most famous work, Gulliver's Travels. Nonetheless, I've never paid much attention to the few sermons he published. With the notable exception of On Sleeping in Church, they tend to be fairly pedestrian, straightforward, and not as rewarding as Swift's other writings. So imagine my surprise and delight when I ran across his quote on the blessings of power. In it, Swift sets up a dichotomy that jibes perfectly with my favorite binary regarding bosses and leaders. You can either seize personal power and all the selflessness and hopelessness it entails, or you can share power, redistribute it for the benefit of all. Similarly, you can strive to be an egocentric boss who makes more noise than progress, or you can decide to pursue leadership in all its selflessness and mutual success. That's the basic choice, gaining power for its own sake as opposed to sharing power to serve the whole. True leaders choose the latter. Think of it as the redistribution of power. As I gain power as a leader, I apportion it to my team members, who then use it in their collaborative drive toward success and generating more power. It's zero-sum versus win-win, flypaper versus the flywheel. My power sharing at its best will take the form, as Swift suggests, of protection of those without power and the depowering of those who would cause harm. And that way it serves as a form of justice. Taken to its logical conclusion, such leadership becomes a true redistribution as the leader empowers the team. If you are in the world primarily for you and yours, if you expect others to subject themselves to you or cannot perceive or respect their worth, you will never be a true leader. True leaders subject themselves to others as a matter of course. It's not so much an exertion, but an impulse. This way they build genuine trust, which inspires team members to reciprocate, thereby completing the loop and creating an endless cycle. Great leaders answer to their teams much as team members answer to their leaders. The pursuit of personal power short-circuits this loop, draining all the power, all the energy, and limiting its potential. While things may get done, true success, like the bottom of the bottomless pit of personal power, remains forever out of reach. The power-obsessed can never satisfy their lust for power. In striving for personal gain, they generate misery for all. Leaders, in contrast, find satisfaction in the very process of redistributing power, pushing it outward, not drawing it inward. They then convert that redistribution into organizational success. Organizational success generates more power, which they then distribute. Thus, redistribution of power acts as a force multiplier. So, as Swift says, power is no blessing in itself. It's neither good nor bad. As with politics, power becomes a destructive force when abused for personal gain. Instead, when practiced intentionally and with the aim of mutual benefit, power is a force for good. Therefore, power is vital to great leadership, and the greatest power of power is in sharing it. Share it generously, share it wisely, but be sure to share it. How do you view power in the workplace? Do you wield power for personal gain or for the greater good? Leaders must develop their ability to share and regenerate power, and I can help. Unlock the great leader within. Download my free resource, the Transform to Greatness Toolkit, now. I look forward to hearing from you.